Hello, my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be a tag-ish video. I always just call tag videos, or I always call my videos that are not panning videos, like my tag videos, because this is just something that I thought of to do. If you want to do it too, you can. I'm already rambling. You know what I'm talking about. As you can see from the title, this video is going to be about the palettes that I would repurchase if I could. A few of them I already have repurchased. In fact, I've only ever repurchased a palette twice in my entire life. Some of these I cannot repurchase because they're discontinued already, and breaks my heart because I want to get these again and I just can't. So I have to cherish my time with them as much as possible. And then some of these are palettes that I'm planning on repurchasing, and I'm hoping that once the time comes they will still be available to purchase. Before I get started, just let me ramble real quick for another few seconds. When I say palettes that I would repurchase, I don't just mean like, oh, palettes that I love so much that I'm glad I purchased in the first place, because I feel like at this point I'm kind of over that. Like, I'm at a point in my collection where I genuinely love pretty much everything. Even the stuff that's not like an absolute 100% love, I still like, but I would say 90% of my collection at this point is loves. So I am happy that I have everything in my collection that I currently have, but I'm talking about palettes that if given the opportunity, I would try to pan to completion, or what I consider panning to completion, which is like hitting pan and everything, and like getting through that and spending a year or two on the palette and then still loving enough to go back to. So that's what I considered, like really thinking about, okay, if I use this palette every day for a year pretty much, would I still want it again? So that was kind of my criteria. And in fact, this first palette is something I did just that with, and it's the e.l.f. I think I'm holding it upside down. No, I'm not. e.l.f. Bite-Sized Eyeshadow Quad in the shade, or the color Story Truffle. I absolutely used to love these little bite-sized quads from e.l.f. I had probably like half of the palettes from this line, and all the one, I think I decluttered one because I just didn't like it, but all of the others I panned in my project Level Up a few years ago when I first did that project. Sorry if the angle changed, I had to get up to put some lotion in my hands because my hands are absolutely dry. But this was the first year that I did project Level Up. Rosie just woke up. When I was actually hitting pans and not just doing the light version. And I think this was my, I don't know which level this was, but later on that same year I actually finished like hitting pans on all 4 pans in this palette. And to me, I consider, when I hit pan in every single shade in a palette, I consider that palette done. So I decluttered that one, and also because it was like, I think it was about 2 years old at that point, and these tend to start changing formula after about a year, which I bought this maybe almost a year ago now, so I need to get started on using it because I literally haven't even opened it, as you can see. But anyway, yeah, I just really missed having this palette in my collection, which is kind of crazy because you would think that a little cheapy drugstore like $3 palette that has like super basic colors in it I wouldn't care about, but I actually love this so much. Not only is it great for travel because it's so tiny and it has like basic colors in it, but the silver in here is just like an undertone that goes so well with the other colors in here. And I have very warm tones, so like straight up silver does not look good on me, but this one I just love. So I repurchased this and I'm very glad I did. Like, I probably didn't need to repurchase it when I did because I clearly haven't opened it yet, but I think I would really miss this if this was not in my collection. And then the only other palette that I've ever repurchased is the Milk Cosmetics Mary Jane palette. This one was kind of an accidental repurchase, but basically, and if you've already heard the story, you can just fast forward. But basically, back in, I bought this like, I think end of 2021. And I was wearing this pretty much like every day for a while because it has very, very good colors for winter. And I just could not get enough of this palette, and this was like my favorite palette in my collection at the time. Sorry if you can see dust. A lot of these have gone untouched this year, unfortunately. But then in summer of 2022, I moved and I could not find this palette anywhere. I had no idea what happened to it because I was like, how do you lose a woman? I like could not figure out how I lost this eyeshadow palette, but I looked for months and months, and finally I was like, I just need to repurchase it before it is discontinued. So I repurchased it one day when it went 50% off, and I kid you not, that was the last time they stocked this palette on Sephora. I don't know if they kept it around on the Melt site, but on Sephora they no longer had it. So yeah, I repurchased it, and then what do you know, maybe like a month later I found the original palette. So I then had two of these. It was like at the bottom, I think, maybe backstory, I think like I must have, I don't know, maybe I just wanted to keep this out and not pack it up because I wanted to use it a bunch. So I didn't pack it with the rest of my makeup. I just packed it and threw it like in a random box, and then I just never ended up unpacking that box when I moved. And then one day I just like found it underneath a bunch of random stuff, like wrapped in a bunch of bubble wrap, like with random stuff that I would never put this with. So that's when I found it. But then my mom was like, oh yeah, I'll take your old palette if you don't want it. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, take it. So now I have this one. So this one technically is not from 2022. I bought it in 2023. It's still 3 years old at this point. So for being one of my favorite palettes in my collection, like this one doesn't look nearly as used as my first one did, because I was using the heck out of that one, and I even panned one of the shades, not like to completion, but I was working on one of the shades in a project. I'm talking for so long about this, but yeah, I need to use this more because it still is one of my favorite palettes. Moving on to palettes that I wish I could repurchase, but they're no longer made. And the first one is another Melt palette, and that's the Melt She's and Parties. I feel like this one is more, I mean, I think the packaging is so beautiful, and I love purple eyeshadow, so this is just like beautiful to me. But I probably don't absolutely need this palette in my collection because I have plenty of other purple eyeshadows, including the ABH Norvina Pro Volume 5, which is just like 25 shades of purple. So I probably have nearly every single shade in this palette just in that one palette, but I just love it. Like, it's so beautiful. This was my first like really like all purple palette, except for, I don't know, this one here is more of like a pink leaning, like a rose gold champagne shade, but this is very obviously purple, and I just love every shade in here. And I also feel like this one called Strange Love, this is probably why I would want to repurchase this palette, because I feel like this shade here somehow is like so unique. Like, there's something about it. I don't want to swatch too much, but I want to swatch this shade. It's just like, I swear I don't have anything else in my collection that is exactly like this, and I absolutely love this shade here. And then I also do this one look with this, and I don't ever do cut crease actually, but when I combine like I think it is these two, like this one, if you build it up, it gets to be really deep, and then this one on my skin tone is very, very pale, and it just creates a cut crease look without me actually having to use like concealer or anything. And I actually love the way it looks, even though I don't like the look on me usually. So I just feel like, I don't know, this palette is really special to me, and I can't get it anymore, but if I could, I would repurchase it. The next palette is a Pat McGrath palette, surprisingly the only one in this video though, considering how much I love Pat McGrath palettes. But this would be the Interstellar Icon, or the Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad Interstellar Icon. Sorry about the glare. This is what it looks like, and it's just like, it's literally just a quad, and it's honestly a little overpriced for a quad, because I think at least when I bought this it was like $42, I think. But I absolutely love it, especially for this shade right here, which I'll swatch this one too. I always say that this is my favorite blue shade in my entire collection. It's the shade that got me to love blues. I don't know if you can see the flip, but that was like, I barely had any on my finger and I still got that much impact from that swatch. And I also love the other shades in here, don't get me wrong, but I just absolutely love that shade. And then I love the 2 looks that I get from this. Actually, I did a 3rd look. Usually I just do a look with these 2 shades and then the 2 neutral shades. But I used this in the beginning of the year for I think my palette throwback, and I did a look that I've never done with this. Oh my gosh, I'm talking too fast. I did a look that I've never done with this eyeshadow palette before, and it just like unlocked a new level of appreciation for this eyeshadow palette because I feel like it's just so versatile, especially for what it is, but it's also so beautiful and such good quality. And I bought this palette in I think 2021, and it's still going really strong and I still love it. And I feel like I love it more each time I use it. Next is, I mean, these all make me sad, but this I just don't understand. Like, this is the from Dose of Colors, the Marvelous Mauves palette. Shout out Alyssa, because I now always think of you too whenever I see this palette. This is what it looks like. It's literally just a 5-pan monochromatic all matte palette. Just like a lot of their palettes, they have a whole line of this basically where they just do 5 mattes of monochromatic shades, and then some of them they have like full color stories in their 5 pans. But they have this, they have like an orange one, they have a like cool tone brown, a warm tone brown, they have like a berry one. For some reason, out of all of those palettes, this is the only one that they got rid of. They just stopped selling it, and I've checked the site multiple times since I first noticed it last year. It's still not there. So I think they just quietly like did away with this palette for whatever reason, I don't know. And this was between this one and my Pretty Cool palette. These are my 2 favorite of these 5 pans from Dose of Colors. I have no idea why they got rid of this because I definitely would have repurchased this palette. Not only do I love the formula and I love, you know, just like the She's and Parties, I love mauves and purple eyeshadow. This also has really, really good memories tied to it, so I would just want to keep it especially for that as well. And I love pairing this with some of my single shadows. It's such a good companion palette and just so easy and pretty. I could go on and on, but I can't repurchase this. So yeah, like everything, I'm gonna try to get as much use on this as possible. But Dose of Colors, it's not too late. You can bring this back. Then finally, I'll just do this one next because I seem to be like on a purple roll, but this is my ABH Norvina palette, and you can see how beat up and gross it looks because this is, if you didn't know, one of my palettes for my current Pan Those Palettes series. It has been since 2025. I've been using this for a very long time and I still love it every time I use it, which is how I know. And I even, from the very first moment that I purchased it, I knew that I would always want to have this palette in my collection, and I was right, because I'm seldom wrong about things. But I just love this palette so much. There were a few shades that I took out, like base. I would never need like an off-white satin, and then Celestial was, at least in my palette, a dud shade. Like, it didn't work very well, so I got rid of those 2. But otherwise, I just love this. I think it's so beautiful, and surprisingly, I love it most for the mattes, or not the, well, yes, the mattes, but I love it most for the neutrals in here. I think the neutral shadows are so beautiful and they just work so well. And the ABH formula isn't the best formula in the world, but it's pretty easy to work with, I would say. I feel like it's hard to make a mistake because you can just kind of blend things away if you don't like it. If they brought this palette back, I would repurchase it in a heartbeat, full price. I don't care. I would repurchase it immediately. And I don't want their like little, I don't want them to recreate it in like a little 9-pan, because I feel like for them to do that, they would have to take out 5 shades. And other than base, there wasn't really a shade that I felt like I didn't want in the color story. If they brought the original palette back, I would so repurchase it. But I don't know, ABH seems to be doing, they still have their like soft glam palette, which I guess is like a really good seller. And then I don't know, I feel like they keep they keep palettes that are just odd. They also got rid of the sugar palette. Luckily I bought that one before they discontinued it, but they get rid of all like their fun, pretty color stories. I don't know why. They need to keep their pretty ones in stock. I'm gonna move on before I start beefing with Anastasia Beverly Hills. The final palette of this section is, of course, my Sephora collection I Love Bloom Dahlia palette. Shout out Julie, because I know she loves, I literally have it here on my desk, I know she loves these I Love palettes. These were just like a range that Sephora was doing for a while, and then they just started discontinuing it for some reason. But this one was from the Bloom line, and this was, you've probably heard me talk about this at least a dozen times because I talk about it all the time, but the Bloom line was an all cream to like matte formula from Sephora, and this was their original one. They currently like brought back a new cream to matte or like cream to powder formula, but it's not the same as the one that was in these palettes. These were all 7 pans, were this amazing, beautiful, immaculate, perfect cream to matte formula, or like for the shimmers, like cream to powder formula. And it was just literally perfection. It was the, for me it still is because I still own it, but it's literally the best, absolute best by far eyeshadow formula I've ever tried in my entire life. It's amazing. I don't know who made the executive decision to get rid of this, but they really, really messed up, because if I could, I would go back and repurchase every single palette in that entire collection, regardless of color story. I also just love the tones in here. I feel like this is perfect for someone with fall coloring, which I do have. And yeah, I don't have any pans in this palette, but I feel like that could change very quickly because I have really good dips in here. And this is like, up until I got my Dose of Color She's a 10, this was my absolute favorite palette in my collection. But considering it's like a little 7 pan from Sephora collection, I feel like that's really saying something here. Now onto palettes that I currently still have in my collection that are currently still available to purchase, that I'm hoping stay available because I'm planning on repurchasing them. These brands just need to listen to me, because I promise you, you will have more sales in the future, so don't get rid of these. The first one is from Sigma Beauty. I think it's called Sigma Beauty. It's from Sigma, and this is the Ambiance palette. This was the first eyeshadow palette I ever purchased from Sigma off of I can't remember her name, but it was a YouTuber's recommendation, and this palette absolutely did not disappoint. I mean, she is, or she was, affiliated with the brand, so maybe she was just promoting this because she had to, but I saw this palette and immediately fell in love, and I had to have it, so I purchased it, and I've never regretted it even once. It is such a good palette, even though it's like a little boring looking all neutral palette. I love it for every day. Like, I panned this, as you can tell, I panned this palette in I think 2023. I ended up nearly finishing this shade. I had to refill the pan, and some of my favorite shades in my entire collection come from this palette. It is just, it's such an amazing palette, and I personally love the Sigma formula. I know it's like, I feel like people either love it or hate it. I love the Sigma formula. It's like top 5 eyeshadow formulas of all time for me. And these are shades that I can use every day, but they're also like slightly elevated and fun. So once I get to the point where either I like hit pan in almost everything, or I like finish this shade again, or if this palette just starts turning on me, because I think I bought this in 2022, so it is getting older. Either way, no matter what, I am planning on repurchasing this palette. Then finally, a palette that should have been obvious to you, because I literally just mentioned that it's my favorite palette in my entire collection. This is the Dose of Colors She's a 10 palette. I bought this in, I think it was also 2023 that I purchased this. Whenever Dose of Colors releases, maybe it was, yeah, it had to be 2023, because I remember like I bought this while I was at work. I was on my break, but I bought this while I was at work, because it released right around my birthday, and I wanted to get myself a birthday present. And I saw this palette and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. So, and I already knew that I love Dose of Colors, like their eyeshadow formula, and I assumed this was at the time going to be the same formula as like their 5-pan shadows, which I was very happy about, because up until this palette that was like basically my favorite eyeshadow formula. But then somehow they like topped their eyeshadow formula. They showed themselves up. I don't know how they did it, because I didn't think the formula could get better. But this palette is so amazing. And I will say that some of the similar to Sigma, some of the shimmers and metallics are, or the shimmers in here are the dry shimmer formula, so you would have to use like an eyeshadow like glitter primer. The metallics are like the cream metallic formula, but if you're not into that, you might not like these, but I am very happy using a glitter primer, so I don't mind. And the mattes in here are so perfect. Like, they give you pretty much full opacity on like the first swipe, but they're also so easy to blend, which I have never found really in any other brand other than Pat McGrath. And even I would say Pat McGrath does have a few matte shades that are difficult to blend, but there isn't even a single dud in this palette at all. It is so beautiful and perfect, and I love the color story because again, it's neutrals and I love neutrals, but it does have pops in here, of course, with like the red. Like, I love doing a look with these two shades, the like red velvet shade, that's what I call it, and the black in here. One of my favorite looks to do is with these two, even though I don't even like red. I will say though that these two are repeats of, and then I think one of the, I think Birthday Suit in here plus the red and the black here are repeats from their 9 Years Later palette, which is from the line that came out the year before this. So I will say that was kind of nasty of them, but I'll let it slide because I absolutely love this palette, and they did elevate the formula in this palette. I'm always keeping my eye on the Dose of Colors website, because if they ever like one day randomly like drastically drop the price, I'm going to buy it, because I don't ever want to, as I'm saying this, I'm like, what if I'm like talking about it right now and it's happening as I speak? I don't want to miss repurchasing this palette, because even though this one is not super old and the formula is not changing on me yet, I want to get it before it's discontinued so that I have a backup anyway, because this is a palette that I genuinely would not be mad about having multiples in my collection, like just so that I could have a backup on hand for when I do have to get rid of this one. So that is the final palette in this video. Again, there are lots of other palettes that I was considering putting in here, but I really thought about like, okay, if I pan this palette to completion, would I actually want to still keep in my collection? And I feel like as much as I'm like looking at all of my palettes over there, as much as I love pretty much every palette in my collection, a lot of these, if I actually completely finished it, I would be happy with kind of just letting it go and not getting it again. But all of these I would want again. So let me know if you have any palettes like that in your collection, which ones they are, if they're still available, if they're not, unfortunately. But I will just see you in my next video, and until then, I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.